What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back here with some more Silent Hill 2 remake gameplay for you. And damn it, Bengal Dragon, I blame you for this. Not really, but one of my YouTubing buddies, the Bengal Dragon, uploaded a video talking about the stillness ending, explaining, the purpose of it, the context behind it, and also explaining how there's a lot of bad theories behind it, which I wasn't aware of. When I heard him talking about it, it was kind of funny to me. I was like, people actually think this stuff. But while we're talking to each other, we were mentioning how he had heard so many bad theories from Silent Hill 2 fans, making him think, hey, they might be even worse than Resident Evil or Code Veronica fans in terms of how badly they interpret things. And unfortunately, as soon as he said that, I happened to stumble upon an article about a day later of one of these bad things in Silent Hill 2 in terms of a theory or whatever you're going to go, because honestly, this title for this article speaks for itself. I'll leave a link to the Bengal Dragons video if you want to see his stillness ending explained, as well as a link to this article. And no, it's not on the normal sites. This time it's on Game Rant. And the title of this article speaks for itself. What is the title of the article, you may ask? One missing Silent Hill 2 feature shows Resident Evil 9 shouldn't abandon a series staple. Now, just to let you in a little context, this article, I don't even know why it even mentions Resident Evil 9 in the title, because it barely even talks about it, if at all, in the article. It's not even a factor in the article. So I don't even know why they mention it, other than to get people to be viewing on it, because anytime they hear the term Resident Evil 9, everyone gets all excited about anything nowadays, because people are starved for any information on it. But the real mystery is the beginning part. One missing Silent Hill 2 feature should be a staple for, I guess, Resident Evil 9. Now, when you say something is missing, that means it had to have been there in the first place, which is a mystery, because you might be wondering, well, what was missing? What didn't it have? And the answer to what is missing is this guy, the merchant. Yeah, you didn't know? The merchant was missing in Silent Hill 2, and I guess they mean the remake. Because, yeah, I definitely remember the merchant from Silent Hill 2, but yeah, the merchant is apparently in Silent Hill 2, and he was just missing in this remake, I guess. I mean, you don't remember the guy selling James weapons, telling him, what are you buying, what are you selling him modifications to his weapons, treasure maps, other things, making his inventory space bigger, that kind of guy. You don't remember that guy in Silent Hill 2 at all? Even in the original one? Because I guess he was in the original one, just not in the remake, according to this guy. Yeah, obviously he was not in Silent Hill 2. But according to this article, he is. And I'll just state the obvious. For something to be missing, it had to have been there in the first place. There obviously wasn't a merchant in Silent Hill 2 in the remake or the original one. So I don't know what this person is on about. But yeah, their whole purpose of this article is talking about how, the merchant was missing apparently in Silent Hill 2. They need to bring it back. Or bring it back and kind of mimic what Resident Evil does with the merchant, so that the franchise can move forward in future Silent Hill games. And I think I will speak what the majority of the audience will say after hearing this, is that if I ever see a merchant selling me anything in a Silent Hill game, if I ever see James walking around and I see a merchant trying to sell me stuff, then I think that all hope is long gone, and I just need to take the plunge and just get out of Dodge immediately, because this just isn't Silent Hill anymore. But yeah, the whole purpose of this article is to say that because Resident Evil's evolution from its original days to what it is now, it's something Silent Hill 2 needs to do, something similar. Basically having the merchant level economy that Resident Evil games now have. I'm going to say this as politely and simplistic as I possibly can, so that it makes sense. I don't think it'd be too hard to understand. Resident Evil and Silent Hill do occupy certain elements of the horror genre in video games. However, they are not the same. Resident Evil is basically more action-based horror, while Silent Hill is more survival-based horror with more emphasis on psychological themes. They are not the same thing. They're not even remotely the same thing. And if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I have no idea. Apparently, they didn't want to climb up the ladder. I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they finally figured it out. Just don't come up the ladder and I can't kill him. But anyway, getting back to the task at hand, yes, Silent Hill and Resident Evil are not the same thing. And they're completely different styles of horror games. The thing about the evolution with Resident Evil is it makes sense in the context of Resident Evil. You know, Resident Evil, even in its early days, had a large assortment of different weapons, and some of the weapons were, you know, pretty overpowered things. Like they had magnums, they had, you know, really powerful shotguns, advanced shotguns, and you got the rocket launcher used at the end of the game to blow up the big monster. But, and also not to mention that the characters you were controlling were well-trained agents for the most part. Yeah, you had the Claires who would come in who weren't really a trained person, but you get the point. Eventually, a lot of these characters had a lot of training, experience. They weren't just your average Joes coming off the street. It was more of a kind of like an action hero fantasy. You know, it's why people remember and like the characters a lot in Resident Evil, because they give off that fantasy of being cool and badass, and people want to be like them. They look cool. That has never been Silent Hill 2's thing. With Silent Hill 2, or Silent Hill in general, it's always been more about the deep psychological stories of normal people having deep psychological scars, and it's just as much of a horror learning about these individuals as it is, you know, playing the game and exploring the environment itself. And you're kind of like a sponge as you slowly absorb certain information, whether direct or indirect, you know, different themes and all, and you learn more about yourself and the character you're playing it as the game progresses. So I liked a lot of people who had never played Silent Hill 2 before playing the remake, and just learning, you know, the whole story behind James and realizing what eventually had happened. It's not like anything you would experience in like Resident Evil. It's completely different. So yeah, having a merchant would completely destroy everything that Silent Hill 2 is. I mean, seriously. Just imagine, you know, you're doing any of the boss fights and you're just loaded up. You know, you have, you know, magnums, machine guns, you know, maybe you have a rocket launcher in tow, and maybe you're increasing your inventory space. Like, that goes against everything Silent Hill 2 is, because once again, Silent Hill is never been an emphasis on the combat. The combat is basically a last resort, a means of desperation to keep yourself alive. It's not like Resident Evil where, you know, you can definitely get a lot more ammunition and weapons and modifications over time and just go to town on people, because you're not playing a person that's going to go to town on people. You're playing a normal person, you know, in terms of his abilities, his feats, you know. James is not Leon. I'm sorry, but he's just not Leon. I'm glad for it, because I like James the way he is, and that's why he's a deeply interesting character. But having this whole sequence of events where you're going to have James be fully kitted out and maxed out to the teeth would completely go against all the themes of Silent Hill. Just imagine doing this epic pyramid fight, and instead you just have like a rocket launcher to blow them up from the very beginning, or have a fully decked out Magnum with a laser sight. Like, it would completely kill the vibe and the themes and the meanings behind Silent Hill. So Silent Hill ever invoke a merchant for future games? Hell no. Please no. You would completely ruin it. That stuff can work in Resident Evil. It would never work in Silent Hill. And at that point, if ever did it, then you know what would happen next. Everyone would just do the whole, it's just Resident Evil, and you know how that's going to go. But hopefully this article gave you a laugh, and hopefully these ideas never see the light of day. But let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I see you guys back next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.